Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing tonight? Hopefully, everybody's safe and sound and didn't get caught up in the thunderstorm that that we had today in Corpus. If you're in Corpus or wherever you may be watching from, um, hope y'all are safe and and sound inside your house. Uh, so tonight we have is our live stream. Uh, Here at Victory Life Fellowship. And usually before we get started, we talk about the Outcry and the audio book, how you can get a free copy. Um, this book is it's about Freddy Garcia. He was a drug addict in the city of San Antonio, um, and Jesus changed his life. Um, and because he made the choice to follow Jesus and follow his calling, the calling that God put in his heart, to preach the gospel and to tell drug addicts and those that are down and out, those that are, rejects of society, to tell them about Jesus, to tell them that they're loved, and that there's an answer to their problems and that there's a way out through Jesus Christ. Um, there's many people in this ministry who are here today because of that. Um, and that's what the book's about. And if you've never read the book, or you don't, or maybe it's been a while since you read it, and you may want a copy, tonight what I'm going to do is I'm going to read out of the book. I know this book, I read it at least twice a year, and throughout the year, I use it also too as an encouragement, because if those of you, anybody out there, if you like to read, when you find a good book, you don't just read it once. You keep it and you read it, and if you know about reading. When you find a good book, you read it more than once, and you read it, every so often. The Outcry and the Audio is one of those books. And so I'm going to start in chapter 1. Chapter 1, it says, I want to be me. It says, for you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place. When I was woven together in the depths of the earth, your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. That was Psalm 139, verses 13 through 16. San Antonio, Texas, March 1981. The 21-gun salute fractured the silence of the cemetery. Then from the distance came the familiar bugle call of taps, a soldier's farewell to one of his own, and I could no longer hold back my tears. The 6 soldiers of the honor guard removed the flag from the coffin and folded it. One of them turned sharply and stepped towards me. Mr. Garcia, on behalf of the President of the United States, the Commander of the Armed Forces, and the people of this proud nation, we present this flag as a token of services rendered by your loved one. In a half daze, I took the flag and held it tightly. I could almost hear Papa's voice as he told of defending his country on the battlefields of World War I. He and his 2 brothers had actually left their plows in the field to enlist in the army as soon as the news of the war reached their small community of San Marcos, Texas. As a boy, I had never tired of listening to the stories of combat, the fears, the struggles. I thrilled to share Papa's pride in having served as a soldier under the American flag. He loved our country, and he had always instilled in us that America was the best. Where else on the face of the earth could poor people like us fulfill our dreams and reach the highest level of education? How well I remember that September day in 1944 when I first went to school, waking to the smell of freshly brewed coffee and refried beans, with the familiar sound of Mama's rolling pin hitting the table as she flattened the dough for our breakfast tortillas. Bright rays of morning sun shone through the cracks between the upright boards in the wall, and my heart beat faster with excitement as my eyes fell on the new overalls, shirt, and shoes waiting for me. Mama had bought them at a second-hand store. She had put aside pennies from the money she made washing and ironing for others, hiding her savings in a bag under sacks of beans and potatoes in a wooden bin in the kitchen. My older brother, Chito, had shined the shoes till they looked like new. Papa had even taught me how to tie the shoelaces. I was the youngest of 7 born to Feliciano and Josefa Garcia. We lived on the east side of San Antonio in a barrio of mostly Mexican Americans with a few black families. Our 2-room house faced a narrow gravel alley off Oliver Street. There were 8 identical rental houses sharing a dirt backyard with 2 outdoor toilets and 1 water faucet. I was born in the house, and now I was 6, old enough at last to leave home on my own, old enough to begin school. How I wanted to learn to read books, to write, to speak English, even though Papa and Mama had never learned to speak it very well. Eagerly, I jumped up from my blanket on the floor and got dressed. My older brothers and sisters were getting up as well. I folded my blanket and stacked them with theirs in the corner. In the daytime, our sleeping quarters became our living room. Papa was already at the table in the kitchen drinking his cup of coffee with pan dulce. When I walked in, he smiled and announced, "The man of the house is up." He held out his arms. "Come on, my son, sit here with me." As I climbed on his lap, Papa turned to Mama and chuckled. "Get the man of the house some coffee." "No," she objected. "Alfredo's too small, too little." "Get him his cup of coffee, Mama," Papa insisted. "He's a macho." Today was special. Papa had missed work just for me, and now Mama poured some black coffee in a heavy white mug like Papa's. She added a spoonful of sugar and set it before me, shaking her head a little, but she smiled and urged me, "Hurry up, or you'll be late for your first day of school." I sipped the strong, sweet brew and gulped my breakfast. Mama handed me my homemade tacos for lunch as she shoved us both out the door. With my hand safely in Papa's, we walked together the 9 blocks to Ben Milam Elementary and all the way to my assigned room. Some of the children were crying, but Papa had already explained to me that there was nothing to fear. As he turned to leave, I tugged at his pants. "Will you come to take me home?" He grinned and tousled my hair. "Sure, son. I'll be back for you when school is out." Papa spoke to the teacher in his broken English, and then when he was gone, when all of the parents had left, we kids stared at each other, not knowing what to expect. The teacher began talking to us. Her voice was pleasant, and she smiled a lot. But to my horror, I couldn't understand a word. I waited for her to explain in Spanish, but she never did. My heart was pounding, my hands got moist, and I felt my stomach tighten in fear. Around me, the other children seemed to listen intently to the teacher. Did they all understand her? Some of my friends from the barrio had a blank expression on their faces, but when the teacher and the Anglo children laughed, my friends laughed too. I felt miserably lost and didn't dare to move till the school bell rang and all the children lined up for recess. Outside in the yard, I was relieved to hear the janitor speaking Spanish. But back in the classroom, my fear returned. I hid it, and when the teacher and the other children laughed, I did too. "Well, son," Papa asked when he picked me up that afternoon, "how was your first day of school?" "Okay, Papa." I didn't look at him. When we got home, Mama was outside with a bucket watering her plants, waiting for us. Did you like school? She asked. Knowing how happy they were about my going, I lied. Yes, Mama. The next day, through an interpreter, our teacher explained, if you ever need to use the bathroom, just say, teacher, may I be excused to go to the bathroom? For a Spanish speaking 6-year-old, it was a hard sentence to remember. Later, when my friend Ricardo spoke up, he jumbled the words, teacher, may I go to the bath, excuse? The English speaking children bent over with laughter, making all the Barrio children blush in shame. I felt the sting of humiliation, even though I hadn't said a word. A few days later, I needed to go to the bathroom during class. I wanted desperately to speak, but was afraid that the Anglo children would laugh at my broken English. A growing anguish, I waited for the bell to ring, but it came too late. My cheeks burned as my classmates put their fingers over their noses and moved their chairs away from me. How embarrassed I was when the teacher took me aside and in a soft voice spoke words I could not understand. In the end, she called the janitor to interpret. With a sympathizing nod, he asked me in Spanish, did you go potty in your pants? Nearly in tears, I bowed my head. Patting my head, he spoke kindly, don't cry. Your teacher says that you may go home and change. At home, I told Mama what had happened. I expected her to get upset, but she didn't. As she helped me wash up and change my clothes, I pleaded, please, Mama, don't ever make me go back to school again. What? She said sternly. You listen to me, Alfredo. You will go to school and you will learn your English. When you grow up, you'll be able to compete in getting a good paying job. Do you hear me? By the firmness of her voice, I knew the issue was closed. Somehow I must learn to survive in school. And gradually, as the months passed, the strange sounds of another language began to make sense. I could separate words, even speak them. In the second grade, we started learning songs such as God Bless America, and I had memorized the Pledge of Allegiance by heart, even if I didn't understand it all. But during recess, we Mexican American kids played together and naturally spoke our own language. One day, the teacher suddenly brought our game to a halt. She summoned 2 Anglo boys who were playing nearby and put her arms around them. Then she turned to us. Don't you know that it's rude to speak in another language in front of someone who doesn't understand? You can hurt that person's feelings. Besides, you're living in America, and in America our language is English. In fact, you're all Americans and should speak nothing but English. Pointing to the nearest Mexican American girl, she added, Maria, from now on your name will be Mary. Rogelio, you'll be Roger. The teacher went on and on until she came to me. Alfredo, what would you like to be called, Fred or Freddy? I shrugged my shoulders. It doesn't matter. Then Fred it is, she nodded. From now on, anyone caught speaking Spanish on the school grounds will be punished. You will either be spanked or detained after school. That day I determined to practice my English more diligently at home as well as at school. But Mama quickly stopped me. No, Alfredo. She wagged her finger in front of my face. You practice your English in school. At recess, when you're playing with your Spanish-speaking friends, it's all right to speak Spanish. But whenever English-speaking persons who don't understand Spanish are present, you speak English out of respect. Here at home, you practice your Spanish. That way, my son, you'll be able to speak both languages. But Mama, I argued, our teacher told us that we're Americans and that Americans speak English, not Spanish. She sat me beside her. Your teacher is right. She explained, you are an American because you were born in the United States. But you're an American of Mexican descent. If you lose your Spanish language completely, son, you'll be losing a part of what God created you to be. Besides, she added, your papa and I don't speak English very well, so for our benefit, here in the house, you'll speak Spanish. Instinctively, I knew that Mama was right, but at the same time, I yearned to win the approval of my teacher and be accepted as an equal by my English-speaking classmates. In third grade, our teacher hung a chart next to the blackboard and announced, "On this chart, I'll record the names of the students with the highest grades. They will receive a gold star. Those who earned the second highest grades will get a silver star." I eagerly accepted the challenge. "I'm going to get that gold star and get my name up there," I said to myself. "I know I can do it." So that's the outcry in the barrio, chapter 1, where we see Freddie. He's a young boy, he's a child, and he has an experience in school. Many people can relate to that. When you see how life for many is the same. We have mom, we have dad, we have teachers we have to deal with in our life. And this book is filled of examples of our lives and the things that we have in common. And many Christians today have given their lives to the Lord through the examples in this book, through the power in this book that the Holy Spirit has anointed this book, and the words in it, and the life of Freddie Garcia to touch the hearts of many, and they've given their lives to Christ because we can relate. So if you know someone that's lost in drugs, in alcohol, depression, maybe they're just rejected by everybody. Maybe you have a family member that's just always down and out, or has lost hope, especially in these times. This book is a shining example of what God can do in the life of a person who gives their life to Jesus, because you see, it's just for everybody. Freddie was a kid. He grew up in school. He grew up with his mom and dad. He has issues. If you continue to read the book, you'll see Freddie's life. He has. We all have things in common, and Jesus can do miracle in your life also, just like he did in Freddie's life. So if you want a copy of the Outcry in the Barrio, you can call the church, 361-882-5569. Call the office, and we'll set you up with a copy. You can come by anytime and pick up your copy. You can contact us online on the Facebook page, in our app, and request for a copy of the Outcry in the Barrio. So that's it for today, and we'll see y'all tomorrow night for Victory Kids on the line with the Victory Kids. See y'all tomorrow.